The ultimate goal of real-time operating system is to complete the task within the deadline time. So if you consider a real-time system, there are two types. One is hard real-time system and second one is soft real-time system. So mainly to have cost-effective applications, they divided again real-time systems into two types: hard real-time system and soft real-time system. A hard real-time system is one which completes the application or which completes the program well within the deadline time under all the conditions. Under all the conditions, it is guaranteed that the hard real-time system is going to complete execution of an application or a program or a task. Okay. And in case of hard real-time system, if the operating system fails to meet the deadline time, it leads to failure of entire system. Say for example, if you consider rocket launching, there we must have to go for hard real-time system. So if it fails, if the operating system fails in launching of the rocket, if it fails the deadline time, it leads to entire failure of the project. So that's why hard real-time system, it should be such that it should be a dedicated system and it should complete the task well within the deadline time under all the conditions. It must provide the guarantee. Okay, it must provide the guarantee to complete the task well within the deadline time. Okay. On the other hand, a soft real-time system is one in which it makes best effort to meet the deadline time. A soft real-time system is one which completes the task or which completes the program execution with best effort. But it does not guarantee that the task is completed within the given deadline time. However, in case of soft real-time system, if it fails to meet the deadline time, it won't cause damage to the system, or it will not cause failure of the entire system. However, the performance of the system may be reduced. Okay. So hard real-time system, it will guarantee to meet the deadline time, but our soft real-time system, it makes best effort to meet the deadline time. Okay. And here in the textbook, he has listed out some of the features of real-time systems. They are, first one is the real-time system, it permits creation of multiple processes within an application. Okay, till now we have seen what is program. Okay, so program basically it is collection of instructions. But students, it is possible to divide the program again into multiple parts, and these parts, they can be executed in parallel. Okay, the given program or given application, again it can be divided into multiple parts, and these parts, they can be executed concurrently or even in parallel also. Okay, so these small parts of the program, they can be referred to as a process. So in generally, a process is one, it is maybe part of program or a complete program which is under execution. The process can be defined as the program, or it may be part of the program which is under execution. So one of the important feature of real-time operating system is it permits creation of multiple processes within an application. It allows the programmer to create multiple processes within the program. Okay. Next, it permits priorities to be assigned to the processes. So real-time system allows the programmers to assign priority to the processes. So for each of the program or each of the process, it is possible to assign a suitable priority. Students, I'll take one example. Just consider a fire protection system. Okay. Assume that when the fire accident takes place, you have provided, say, three important applications or three processes. One is like when the fire accident happens, that time there is a facility to have a siren. Okay, assume that when the fire accident takes place, you'll get a big siren. Okay, then second one is you have some sprinklers. So when the fire accident takes place, automatically the sprinklers should get open and it should start sprinkling of the water. Okay, and third one is you have designed a system in such a way that it should make an automatic call to the fire station. Okay, assume that you have three applications for fire protection system. When the fire accident takes place, first you have provided a facility to blow the siren. Okay, you have provided a facility for making a call to the fire station, and also you have provided a facility to open the sprinklers for sprinkling of the water. Okay, assume that these three applications, they are running in this entire system. Okay, can you think what should be the priority of these applications? Okay, when the fire accident takes place, which task should be completed first? What should be the priority of these tasks? Can you think? Anyone? I'll repeat once again. We have three applications. What are those? Sprinkling of the water, siren. Then third one is it should make a call to the fire station. Out of these three, which should be given first priority? Can you explain logically? Anyone? Students, anyone? Which task should have higher priority?
Sir, sprinkler, sir.
Sprinkler.
Water
Okay.
sprinkler, sir.
That is first priority. Then
Yes, sir.
anyone?
Then
Second?
call, sir. First to fire brigade call, sir. Next sprinkler, sir.
Huh,
And next third one, sir. That is.
siren.
Sir.
Okay, anyone else?
Sir, first siren, sir.
First siren. Okay.
For emergency exit, sir.
Okay. Second,
Then sprinkle, sir.
sprinkler. Third one
Third
is
one call.
calling. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, you are correct. Can you justify your answer, please? Why siren should be first?
Sir, to run, sir. To save life.
Yes, because see, when any fire accident takes place, first we have to save the lives, right? Those who are working nearby that accident, their life is much important. So first upon, it should blow the siren. Okay, so that for blowing of the siren, we should give first priority. What about second one? Second one is we should start the sprinklers so that as much as possible we can try to reduce the damage, and then we can make a call to the fire station. Okay, here my intention is just I wanted to tell you we can divide the application into tasks, and these tasks, they can be assigned with priorities. Okay, so real-time operating system, it permits to assign priority to the each of the process. Okay, the next it permits the programmer to define interrupts and also interrupt processing routines. Students, I don't know whether you have studied interrupts. Have you studied interrupts concept?
Yes, sir.
What is an interrupt exactly? Where we use?
Sir, interrupt is in main it occurs in between execution of main program, sir.
Okay. Okay, who will interrupt and to whom the interrupt occurs?
So, like, sir, example, sir, now in printer there is a paper is over, sir, matlab empty, sir.
Okay.
Then it shows that papers are required to a machine. That's in, we are working now ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಸರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ನಾಗ ಸರ್.
Right. Okay.
ಪ್ರಿಂಟರ್ನಾಗ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗನ ಅದು ನಮಗೊಂದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಇದು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್, ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ
It
ಸರ್.
will give some message. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, interrupt, it is something like a request generated by the input-output device to the operating system indicating that it requires some service. Okay, students, please try to understand. Interrupt, it is something like a request generated by the programs or generated by the input output devices indicating that they require a kind of service from the operating system. Okay, so actually when the interrupt occurs, a special kind of program is executed that is called as interrupt service routines, or they are also known as interrupt processing routines. Okay, these are the special programs which are executed when an interrupt occurs. So as we discussed in the previous example, like when the fire accident takes place, an interrupt should occur, and these tasks, whatever the three applications we have discussed, they should be executed one by one. Okay. So in case of real-time operating system, it allows to define the interrupts, and also it allows to write interrupt service routines. Then the real-time operating system, it employs priority-driven and deadline-oriented scheduling. The type of the scheduling employed in case of real-time operating system is priority-driven. No doubt, based on the priority, the tasks should be executed and they must be completed well within the deadline time. That's why we say that the real-time operating system employs priority-driven and deadline-oriented scheduling system. Okay. And one more important feature of real-time operating system is it must provide fault tolerance and graceful degradation capabilities. Okay, can you think what is fault tolerance? Fault tolerance means in case if the system fails, if one of the component fails, the other component should get activated automatically and it should take care of that system. Okay, suppose assume that you have a sprinkler. Okay, in case if first sprinkler fails, automatically the second sprinkler must open up and should carry out the task. Means we should have some backup. We must have some backup device. That kind of feature we call it as fault tolerance. In case even if any of the fault occurs, the system should continue its operation. Okay. The next we have graceful degradation. Okay, when any of the failure occurs, at that time the system should not fail at a time. Abruptly, there should not be failure of the system. Okay, there must be graceful degradation of the system. Even though if the entire system fails, it should happen gracefully. Okay, and that's why we say that the real-time operating system, it provides fault tolerance and graceful degradation capabilities. Okay, so these are the 5 important features of real-time systems. First one is it permits creation of multiple processes within the application. Second one is it allows to give priority to the programs, and it allows programmer to define interrupts and also interrupt routines. Then it allows priority driven or deadline oriented scheduling. Then fifth one is the real-time operating system, it must provide fault tolerance and graceful degradation capabilities. Okay, students, this is all about real-time systems. Okay, here you must be able to define what is real-time system, what are the types of real-time systems, and you must be able to explain or list out the features of real-time systems. Okay, this is all about real-time systems. Then we are moving to the last class of operating system, which is called as distributed operating system. Students, basically distributed system is one, it is interconnection of nodes. Distributed system is simply nothing but interconnection of computers. Okay, the example for distributed system is LAN, WAN, internet. So all these, they are referred to as distributed systems. Basically, in case of distributed systems, you'll be having connected set of computers. Okay. By having distributed systems, we get many of the advantages, or we get some features. Okay. One of the main goal of distributed system is resource sharing. Okay. The first advantage of distributed system is resource sharing. Okay. Can you explain what is resource sharing in distributed systems? The example of distributed system is LAN, WAN, internet. So how do we get resource sharing? Suppose if you have a single printer in the LAN, the same printer can be accessed by multiple users. Okay. Or if you have a single software which is stored in the LAN, or a single file that can also be accessed by multiple users. So distributed system, it allows sharing of both hardware and software part of the system. Okay. It is possible to share same resource by the multiple users. The next advantage of distributed system is reliability. Reliability means availability of resources and services despite failures. Say for example, you assume that you have a banking application where you have used a LAN with 10 computers. Okay, in case if any one of the computer fails, we need not to worry about that banking application. It can be continued with remaining 9 computers, right? That we call it as reliability. Okay, reliability means availability of the resources and services despite some failures. Then next we have computation speed up. So in case of distributed systems, it is possible to divide same application into different parts, and these parts, they can be executed on different computer systems, and finally it is possible to collect the results. Please try to understand, in case of distributed systems, as we are going to have multiple computers which are interconnected, it is possible to divide the application into multiple tasks, and all of these tasks, they can be executed in parallel. They can be executed parallelly on different computers. The advantage is it will speed up the execution of the program. Okay. Then third one is communication. So the distributed system provides means of communication between the users. As we discussed, like if you take LAN, WAN, internet, by means of many of the applications, the users, they can communicate with each other. Okay. It provides a means of communication between the remote entities. Okay. Then the last advantage of distributed system is incremental growth. The meaning is that you need not to set up the entire system on a single day. Based on the need, you go on adding the computers. So for example, just you take banking application. Assume that initially you have installed 5 computers, and day by day, if the customers go on increase, if the number of customers increases, that time you can add some new computers, right? That we call it as incremental growth. The capabilities of the system can be enhanced depending on need. Depending on need, it is possible to enhance the capabilities of the system. Okay. So these are 5 important features of distributed systems. Students, first try to understand what is distributed system. Basically, distributed system is interconnection of computers, or it can be referred to as collection of nodes. Okay. We get 5 advantages. One is resource sharing. It is possible to share both software and hardware devices on the distributed systems. Reliability, it means availability of the resources and services despite some failures. Then computation speed up, it is possible to divide a program or application into multiple parts, and they can be executed on different computer systems. This will speed up the execution of the computation. Okay. Communication, distributed system, as it contains interconnected computers, it provides a means of communication between the users. Incremental growth, it allows to enhance the distributed system depending on application. The capabilities of the system can be enhanced depending on need and the application. Okay, these are the 5 important features of distributed systems. Okay, here we are going to discuss about the key concepts and techniques used in distributed systems. We have 3 important techniques which are used in distributed operating systems. The first one is distributed control. So here the control function is performed by participation of all the nodes. This we call it as distributed control. So in any of the system, there will be some control functions. These control functions in the distributed system, it is performed by several nodes or sometimes by all the nodes. Okay, this particular technique we call it as distributed control. The next we have transparency. Transparency, it is a feature which allows to access any of the resource without knowing its location. In case of distributed system, it is possible to access any service without knowing its location. I'll give one example. Assume that when you get the VTU results, right, you'll be able to see the VTU results. But whether you will be knowing where exactly that database is stored, no, right? Without knowing where that result database is stored, it is possible to access the results which are given by VTU website. Okay, this particular feature we call it as transparency. Okay, transparency means it is the feature which allows to access any resource without knowing its location. Is this clear? Okay, last one, we have a remote procedure call. So basically procedure is nothing but a function, right? A remote procedure call means it allows calling of a function which is at a remote place. Assume that you have a function in some of the computer, that function can be called by other computer. Okay, that concept we are going to call it as remote procedure. So a process calls procedure that is located in different computer system. Okay, so while calling that procedure means basically it's a function, right? While calling that procedure, it is possible to pass some parameters. We can pass some input values to that function and you can expect results back from that function. Okay, this entire concept we are going to call it as remote procedure call. So these are the 3 important key concepts and techniques we use in case of distributed systems. They are, first one is distributed control. Here a control function is performed by participation of several nodes or even by all the nodes. Then second one, transparency. So it is a feature which allows to access any resource or service in the distributed system without knowing its location. Then remote procedure call. So it is a feature which allows to call a procedure which is stored on some other system. You can pass parameters to that procedure and also you can get results from that procedure. Okay, students, this is all about distributed systems. Okay, students, this is